The throne hall reeked of smoke and blood. Captain Marcus Chen stood at attention, his combat armor scorched and dented from the siege that had nearly claimed Princess Liara's life. Around him, the crystalline pillars of the Velhari Palace bore the scars of human plasma fire, a reminder that 24 hours ago, his own people had been trying to kill everyone in this room. Queen Shariva descended from her throne with the fluid grace of a predator. Her navy blue skin seemed to absorb the light, making her appear carved from the void itself. Unlike her daughter's softer features, the queen's face was all sharp angles and ancient authority. Her silver eyes, not blonde-haired and gentle like Liara's, fixed on Marcus with the weight of 1,000 conquered worlds. "You risked treason to save my daughter," Shariva's voice resonated through the hall, silencing the murmuring courtiers. "Your generals branded you a deserter. Your species calls you a traitor." Marcus kept his gaze steady. "I call myself human, Your Majesty. That means something." Behind the queen, Princess Liara stood with her blonde hair cascading over her ceremonial armor. The navy blue of her skin was marred with healing wounds, evidence of the hellfire Marcus had pulled her through. Her golden eyes pleaded silently with her mother, but Shariva raised one elegant hand, demanding silence. "Words are wind, Captain Chen. The Velhari do not accept gratitude as currency." She gestured, and 6 of her elite guards stepped forward, their armor humming with deadly energy. "You will face the trials of Keshvara. 5 challenges that have broken warriors twice your size. Fail even one, and you die. Refuse, and you die. Succeed." She paused, letting the weight settle. "And you may yet prove your species isn't simply lucky vermin playing at war." The court gasped. Even Liara's composure cracked. "Mother, the trials haven't been invoked in 3 centuries. Because no outsider has been worthy." Shariva's gaze never left Marcus. "Your human saved you from our enemies, daughter. But was it love, or opportunism? Honor, or strategy?" She stepped closer to Marcus, near enough that he could see the scars hidden beneath her regal bearing. "I have fought your kind for 7 years. I have seen your cruelty, your resourcefulness, your stubborn refusal to acknowledge superior force. Now I will see what you truly are." Marcus felt the weight of every eye in the hall. Through the shattered windows, he could see human warships retreating beyond the moon, the ceasefire holding by a thread. If he died here, the war might reignite. If he refused, Liara's sacrifice in arranging this audience meant nothing. He met the queen's silver stare. "When do the trials begin?" A ghost of a smile touched Shariva's lips, not warm, but approving. "They already have." The floor beneath Marcus exploded. Marcus hit the ground 30 feet below in a roll, debris raining around him. The throne room floor had been a holographic platform. The real chamber was a fighting pit, its walls lined with thousands of Velhari spectators. Ancient and modern merged here, stone architecture built by hands, energy shields installed by technology, all serving the same purpose. Blood sport. First trial, survival, Queen Shariva's voice boomed from above. "Face my Crimson Guard. If you last 10 minutes, you pass. If you defeat them, you earn respect." 4 elite warriors materialized from camouflaged positions. Crimson armor marked them as the Queen's personal executioners, each responsible for ending at least 100 lives in combat. Their weapons, curved energy blades that hummed with molecular disruption, could cut through his armor like tissue paper. Marcus activated his wrist shield just as the first warrior struck. The impact rattled his bones. These weren't human opponents, their strength was augmented by dense musculature evolved under higher gravity. A direct contest of power would crush him. So he wouldn't fight directly. Marcus feinted left, then rolled right as 2 blades carved the air where he'd been. His armor's propulsion jets fired in a burst, launching him over the third warrior's head. Mid-flight, he deployed a scatter mine that exploded into electromagnetic chaos, not enough to penetrate their shields, but enough to blind their helmet sensors for 3 seconds. 3 seconds was enough. He landed behind the fourth warrior and fired his sidearm point-blank into the back joint of their knee, the one weakness in Velhari armor design. The warrior buckled. Marcus grabbed their weapon arm, used their own momentum to throw them into their recovering companion, then sprinted for the wall. "You run?" Shariva's voice held contempt. "Human cowardice." Marcus's grapple line fired, yanking him 20 feet up the wall. At the apex, he released, twisted, and came down with both feet on a warrior's helmet. The impact drove them face-first into stone while Marcus stripped their blade in one fluid motion. Now armed with Velhari technology, he stood against the 3 remaining guards. Around him, the crowd's jeers transformed into intrigued murmurs. The warriors attacked in concert, a synchronized assault Marcus recognized from intelligence briefings. He'd studied Velhari combat doctrine for 7 years, preparing for battles that were always about survival against superior force. He met the first blade with a parry that sent sparks flying, used the energy feedback to spin into a sweep that took the second warrior's legs. The third guard's blade grazed his shoulder, melting armor, but Marcus trapped their weapon arm and delivered 3 strikes to their abdomen, precise, economical, brutal. 2 warriors down. 2 remaining, now circling cautiously. Marcus grinned through bloody teeth. 10 minutes, Your Majesty? I'm just getting started. The pit transformed. Holographic walls dissolved, revealing a tactical chamber where 3-dimensional star charts floated in the air. Queen Shariva descended on an anti-gravity platform, her expression unreadable. "You fight adequately for a human," she acknowledged, and several courtiers gasped at the compliment. But the Velhari conquered 6 systems not through muscle, but through strategy. Second trial, command. The star charts zoomed to show a battlefield, 6 human frigates engaging 3 Velhari cruisers above a populated colony world. Marcus's stomach dropped as he recognized the formation. This was the Battle of Helios Prime, where he'd served as a tactical officer. Where 40,000 colonists had died. "You have 15 minutes to resolve this engagement," Shariva commanded. "Save the colony. Minimize casualties on both sides. Fail, and you've proven humans are merely violent, not intelligent." Marcus studied the display with growing unease. This was a historical scenario, but the positions were slightly altered. In the real battle, the human commander had sacrificed 2 frigates in a suicide run to buy evacuation time, a costly victory that haunted Marcus's nightmares. "I need data," Marcus said. "Shield strengths, weapon ranges, communication delays. You have what any field commander has, incomplete information and a ticking clock." Princess Liara watched from the gallery above, her navy blue features tense with concern. She'd fought beside her mother in a dozen campaigns. She knew the Queen was testing whether Marcus could think like a Velhari, whether he could see beyond human tactics. Marcus made his decision. Instead of attacking, he maneuvered the human frigates into a defensive formation around the colony, but positioned them to intentionally expose their ventral hulls, a vulnerable position that any competent Velhari commander would exploit. Shariva's eyes narrowed. "You invite destruction? I invite conversation." Marcus highlighted the communication channels. "The Velhari cruisers have clear kill shots, but taking them means exposing themselves to the colony's orbital defense platforms for 45 seconds. Enough time for severe damage." He expanded the tactical view. "Meanwhile, my frigates can't win this fight, but in this position, they can deny the Velhari any valuable objectives." "Stalemate." "Stalemate is not victory," Shariva countered. "No, but it's the foundation for negotiation." Marcus manipulated the display to show resource projections. "Both fleets are far from resupply. Both have taken damage in previous engagements. Both commanders would rather preserve their forces for the next battle." He met Shariva's gaze. "So I open a channel. I offer the Velhari commander something valuable, tactical intelligence about human fleet movements in exchange for withdrawing without bombardment. The colonists live. The ships survive. Both sides fight another day with their forces intact. The chamber fell silent. Around them, Velhari courtiers exchanged shocked glances. You would betray your own fleet positions? Shariva's voice was dangerously soft. Outdated positions from 3 days prior, valuable enough to seem like a genuine offering, useless for actual tactical advantage by the time they're verified. Marcus allowed himself a slight smile. Your commanders taught me that deception is the highest form of strategy. I was paying attention. For the first time, Shariva laughed, a sound like crystals chiming. You think like a Velhari. Dangerous for a human. I think like someone who wants everyone to live, Your Majesty. Even more dangerous. The tactical chamber transformed once more, its walls becoming mirrors that reflected Marcus from 1,000 angles. The crowd disappeared behind one-way crystal barriers, leaving him alone with Queen Shariva and Princess Liara. The third trial is simplest and most fatal, Shariva said, her navy blue skin seeming to pulse with inner light. Truth. My daughter believes you risked everything for love. My generals believe you did it for strategic advantage, to create a diplomatic opening, to be a hero, to leverage my gratitude. Her silver eyes became chips of ice. I will know which. The mirrors began to glow. Marcus felt pressure building behind his eyes, a sensation like hooks in his consciousness. Velhari telepathy, he'd heard about it but never experienced it. They couldn't read thoughts, but they could sense emotional truth, detect lies with the precision of a polygraph. Why did you betray your oath to save my daughter? Marcus felt the question like a physical weight. In the mirrors, he saw himself on that day, racing through exploding corridors, ignoring his commander's orders, fighting through human and Velhari forces alike to reach the princess's location. He'd had 30 seconds to make a decision that would brand him a traitor forever. Because she was dying, and I could stop it. The words came out raw, unfiltered. Not the princess. Not a political asset. Liara. A person I'd spoken to twice during prisoner exchanges. Who told me about Velhari poetry? Who asked about Earth's oceans? The pressure intensified. He saw Liara watching him, her blonde hair framing a face caught between hope and fear. You spoke twice, Shariva pressed. 2 conversations, and you abandoned everything? Yes. Marcus met the Queen's gaze through the mirrors. Because in those 2 conversations, I saw something I'd stopped believing existed in this war, someone who saw their enemy as people. She didn't hate me for being human. She pitied the situation that made us enemies. His voice cracked. When I heard her distress signal, heard her dying because my people's artillery was burying her alive, I had one thought, not her. Anyone but her. Love, Shariva said flatly. Recognition, Marcus corrected. That someone who saw humanity in the inhuman deserved humanity in return. Maybe that becomes love. I don't know. I just knew I couldn't let her die when I could prevent it. The pressure released suddenly, leaving Marcus gasping. Shariva stood motionless for a long moment, then turned to her daughter. Liara, approach. The princess descended, her golden eyes questioning. Shariva placed one hand on her daughter's navy blue cheek, a gesture of unexpected tenderness. You chose well in trusting him, the Queen said softly. Then, louder, Captain Marcus Chen, you have passed the trial of truth. Your heart is exactly as foolish and noble as my daughter claimed. She turned back to Marcus. But nobility without wisdom is suicide. We proceed to the 4th trial. The chamber shifted again, and Marcus felt his heart sink as combat armor materialized around them. This wasn't over. Not by half. The final arena was a simulation chamber that felt horrifyingly real. Marcus found himself standing in a recreation of Velhari Prime's capital city, but the city was burning. Human forces poured through the streets, and Velhari civilians ran screaming from plasma fire and chemical weapons. Queen Shariva stood beside him, no longer regal but dressed as a common soldier. Fourth trial, judgment. This is what victory looks like, Captain. Human victory. My homeworld, conquered. My people, scattered. Her voice was iron wrapped in pain. You claim to fight with honor. Show me how you would prevent this. Marcus realized with cold certainty what she was testing. Not his ability to fight against Velhari, but his willingness to fight against humans. The simulation placed him in command of a Velhari defense battalion, facing a human armored column advancing toward a civilian shelter. His tactical display showed the scenario: stop the human advance, or 3,000 Velhari civilians would die in the next attack wave. His human tactical training screamed at him to find a weakness in the Velhari position. His conscience demanded he protect the civilians. The Queen watched him with predatory focus, waiting to see which instinct would win. Marcus took a breath and opened a communication channel to the human forces, in English. Allied forces, this is Captain Marcus Chen, authentication code Whiskey 79er. I am invoking Protocol Sanctuary. Civilian population present. Request immediate halt. The human commander's voice crackled back, Chen? You're listed as Kia. What the hell? Civilians, Commander. 3,000 non-combatants in Sector 7. Marcus's voice carried 7 years of authority. You're advancing blind into a population center. Protocol Sanctuary gives me authorization to countermand tactical decisions when civilian casualties are imminent. A pause. Then, confirmed. We're halting advance. Chen, where are you really? Marcus cut the channel. He turned to Shariva, whose expression was unreadable. The trial was to see if I'd kill my own people to save yours. The answer is I'd talk to my people like they're capable of reason. Because they are. And if they refused? Shariva pressed. Then I'd have fought them. Marcus's voice was steady. Not because they're human and you're not. Because they'd be wrong, and I'd taken responsibility for those civilians the moment I accepted command in this scenario. The simulation dissolved. The throne hall reformed around them, the real one this time, with its battle-scarred grandeur fully visible. Every courtier, every warrior, every noble of the Velhari court stood in absolute silence. Queen Shariva approached Marcus slowly, her silver eyes searching his face. When she spoke, her voice carried to every corner of the vast chamber. Captain Marcus Chen. You have survived combat with my finest warriors. Outwitted my strategic scenarios. Proven your heart true. And demonstrated wisdom that many of my own commanders lack. She placed both hands on his shoulders, a gesture that made Liara gasp. You are the first human to pass the trials of Keshvara. More than this, you are the first to show me that peace between our peoples might be more than a desperate fantasy. She stepped back and addressed the court. I name you Kelvesh, shield friend in the ancient tongue. You stand under my protection. Any who harm you, harm the crown itself. Then, quieter, just for him, my daughter's judgment was wiser than mine. You don't just deserve her gratitude. You deserve a chance to see if that recognition you spoke of can become something more. Liara moved to Marcus's side, her navy blue hand finding his. The crowd erupted, not in protest, but in the complex harmonics of Velhari approval. Marcus looked at the princess, then at the queen, then at the war-torn palace around them. So what happens now? Shariva's smile was fierce and hopeful. Now, shield friend, you help me end this war. Not as a human, not as a Velhari, but as someone both our peoples might finally trust. As the court celebrated around them, Marcus squeezed Liara's hand and thought, maybe risking everything for one person could save everyone after all. The end.